Toad the brake van was feeling sad. Oliver was at the works being mended after falling into the turntable well. He was stuck in the yards, watching the other engines rush by. In order not to feel so bored, he would often talk to some of the other engines and trucks, and they would tell Toad stories, which intrigued the little brake van. Although he enjoyed the stories, he wished he could tell some of his own. He conversed to Duck, the great Western engine, about his predicament. "I wish I had stories to tell, Mr. Duck," he sighed. "The only story I have to tell is of Mr. Oliver's great escape from scrap. Mr. Oliver would tell that story every chance he got, and it's getting rather boring." "I'm sure you'll get your chance soon enough. Maybe give Oliver a run for his money," smiled Duck kindly. "Be careful what you wish for," commented Donald. "Maybe your adventure might not be what it's all cracked up to be." The next morning, Toad was dozing in a siding. He was resting comfortably when James snorted in. He was cross. "Disgraceful!" he hissed. "Why does a splendid lead engine like me have to pull dirty coal trucks?" Toad saw this as a chance to finally have an adventure. "Excuse me, Mr. James. Hello, please, put me on your train." "Why should I?" he replied. "What's so special about you?"
I have very strong brakes, and not to mention I'm good with keeping those troublesome trucks in order. Oh, please, Mr. James,"
Toad pleaded. James paused. Then he rolled his eyes. "Fine," he said at last. "I haven't got all day. Let's go." Toad was pleased. Soon the red engine and brake van were going down the line splendidly. All the while, Toad was busy scanning the line for anything interesting.
Do we have to go so fast, Mr. James?"
Toad asked. It was hard to look for something interesting whilst going so fast. "The sooner I deliver these dirty trucks, then I can go back to pulling passengers again," James harumphed. Then they began to climb the hill. At first they were going well. James was so pleased with climbing up the hill, he didn't notice the large tree branch askewed across the tracks. All of a sudden, crack! James ran over the branch and hit the front coupling, which snapped. Toad and the rest of the trucks were careering down the hill. The silly trucks took advantage of this. On, laughed the trucks. Toad was taken by surprise, his brakes screeching down the hill. Then he looked on in horror, as rushing straight forward was Gordon with the express. Toad then knew that it was all up to him to stop the train. He pushed and braked as hard as he could, as Gordon came nearer and nearer. Toad shut his eyes and waited for the crash. But nothing happened. Toad opened his eyes and saw he just stopped inches from Gordon's buffers. Toad smiled with relief. The Fat Controller soon arrived just as James came back to collect his trucks. "Fancy letting your trucks run away. Maybe if you focused on your work instead of rushing about, then this wouldn't have happened," he said sternly. James went red with embarrassment. Then he turned to Toad. "As for you, Toad, I'm proud of you. You are a really useful brake van. You should get a new coat of paint and a new set of brakes." Toad was pleased. That night, he told Duck and Donald all about his adventure. "Well, it sounds like you had an interesting day. You finally got your adventure," laughed Duck when Toad finished. "Maybe when Oliver gets back, he can finally stop talking about his escape from scrap," he chuckled. Toad smiled. Though he had had enough excitement for one day, he'd always remember about his little western adventure.